I know applause is sometimes troubling in church, but it is always an expression of gratitude, is it not? And so we take with good faith the offerings of music and give with good faith our gladness. Well, I take it summer has finally given up. Last week it was still 80 degrees out there if you were on a good day. And then, just like the Spartan defensive line, it ran past the line of scrimmage and sacked it multiple times this past week. And yes, summer has been defeated. Go green. Sorry. It's where my money goes, so even those who love fall, I think, were enjoying its delayed appearance. I'm predicting that what we're going to have is 6 weeks of September and 6 weeks of November. I guess it all evens out. And now, of course, with the chill and the gray and the wind, it's all business. And, well, what can I say? Leaves, wind, deadlines are looming. The reality of the reality show of electoral politics is already deafening us and dumbing us. And yet, experts seem to be ridiculing the whole Occupy movement for being naive and unrealistic. Well, tell me, who is naive? Those who believe things can and should be better, or those who think things are and should stay the same? Next week I will not be here. I'll taking one of my occasional bye weeks. My wife and I are going to we went to the same high school, bless us, 40th high school reunion, and I like to wrap that enjoying in quotes. You know what I mean, those who are in that neighborhood of years. It will be good, it will be sad, and everything that makes us wise. And I pray that this time we share each week will be for wisdom's sake as well. May these words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be found true in thy sight, thou who art my rock and my Redeemer. So yes, Occupy Grand Rapids is in our midst. They came to us early last week and said, we can't sleep in the park. And we said, sleep in the parking lot. It's just a little bigger than a park in terms of syllables and a lot smaller. And it took a little effort because it's a group that is highly horizontal. That is to say, no decisions are made by one or another. Everyone makes all the decisions. Maybe you've seen this on television. It's fun, it's interesting, but it's also slow and sometimes frustrating. It's not an easy system to operate. And of course, we're a big, complex system, but it seemed to me the right thing to do. And I'll tell you more about that later. But this experience brought to mind two cliches that attach to religion and liberal religion in particular. As I thought about these people camping out, literally to make a point, and thought about how everything we do here is done in words, I remembered that phrase, talk is cheap, which may explain why there's so much of it. And of course, the other one that goes alongside of it is actions speak louder than words, even when those actions are chaotic and undefined or unflattering. We know that there is truth in these sayings, and that those truths indict all organized religion. All religions like to talk. It's the stuff they say that makes us so annoyed, isn't it? Believe this. Say that, don't think this, with books and doctrines and synods and councils and pronouncements and creed upon creed. That's the part we generally don't like. And yet, when we get together on Sunday, what happens? I talk. You listen. Except for the voice in your head that I cannot hear, but I know is very loud right now. What is our worship but words? And what do we stand for? But the power of words and ideas. Even if we disagree with all their words, it's not because it's the words that are wrong, it's they have the wrong words. If we just had all the right words, things would be fine. Yes, we say deeds matter more than creeds, but we somehow end up talking about them more than doing them. famous joke told about my Unitarian Universalist faith applies as much to us. So a religious liberal's walking down a road and sees a fork in the road, and the sign on the left says, "To heaven." And the sign on the right says, "To a discussion about heaven." You understand which way the liberal would go. What is heaven for us but more talking? And then I remembered something attributed to St. Francis. It isn't his, but people think it's his, and it certainly is consistent with him. Always preach the gospel. When necessary, use words. Maybe the gospel, the good news, the truth, the stuff that matters, is not in the words at all. Maybe it really is in the deeds. I know we'd like to refine those deeds, but the words come out of actions rather than the other way around. It's magical thinking to say, if I say the right word, you'll do the right thing. Any parent ever had that myth abolished? Saying the right word will not produce the right action. However, doing the right action might call forth a good word. It is perhaps true now that the gospel, the good news, the truth with the big T on it, cannot be found in the words but only in the deeds, and that all of our words are attempts to describe the deed to someone nearby. Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Wu Dunn's book, Half the Sky, from which I am citing all through the fall, a book devoted to the stories and realities of women in the developing world, stories that are horrifying, challenging, aggravating, and ultimately hopeful, because things can get better, makes a passing reference in his and her book to the Shepherd-Towner Act of 1921. Has anyone here ever heard of the Shepherd-Towner Act of 1921? Don't be afraid to be a know-it-all.